Oh yeah, I did it. I did it. I just watched Knives Out. Hello everyone, I am Mecha Random 42, your favorite YouTube harpy. Alright, I have to qualify why I watch Knives Out. And if you guys don't know, I am a fan of Menace channel, not the biggest fan of The Last Jedi. We'll just put it lightly. I watched Knives Out because I was curious. The trailers looked interesting, and I wanted to see what Rian Johnson would do outside of Star Wars. And I don't know how to review this. I'm gonna go as fairly as possible here. So, one, I cannot recommend anybody see this if they did not like the way Rian Johnson treated the fans during the whole backlash of The Last Jedi, calling people man babies, etc., etc. I cannot recommend supporting his film on those principles, unless you have a way to go in and see it, if you know, like a projectionist or somebody who will go and let you see it, or you can use some binoculars, etc., etc. If you have a way to see this without paying money for it, maybe, and are curious, then I would almost say give this one a watch, because it is fascinatingly weird, and it is such an odd choice that they would put this man in charge of a Star Wars film. If you watch this is a comedy. This is a weird comedy with weird people, with weird camera angles. It's supposed to be kind of creepy and weird. It's filled with a bunch of unlikable characters on purpose, and then some that are actually genuinely likable on purpose. Every decision he made in this film seems to make perfect sense. It's I feel dirty. I feel really dirty giving this one a positive review, but here you go. This is a positive review for a Rian Johnson movie. I was very entertained, really enjoyed the cast, and I liked this movie, and I don't regret sitting through this. But then again, it's like they took Rian Johnson, who makes filet mignon every night, or beef Wellington, and then they threw him in McDonald's, which is what Star Wars is now. And they're like, okay, go do your thing. And he's trying to make a beef Wellington with McDonald's ingredients, almost. And don't, I'm not praising him too much. He is just enough of a troll to say, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm just gonna give you this because this is what I want. And that's what it feels like for Last Jedi, right? It feels like he was trolling us from Last Jedi. This one is actually decent. I know, I'm embarrassed, but it was funny. Daniel Craig is funny in this. I'll get into some spoilers in a second. I do feel very dirty giving this a good review, though. But no, it was fun. It was funny. The characters are supposed to be irritating because that's how these things play out. It is a little predictable in places, but not so much at the end. And I gotta give this one, I enjoyed this one a lot more than any of the Disney Star Wars. For sure. Especially Last Jedi. Last Jedi does not get a pass because I enjoyed this movie. And that's why I say I don't recommend paying money to see it because of the way Rian Johnson treated fans. But at the same time, I mean, this one, if your family says, hey, let's go see Frozen 2 or Knives Out, I would probably say go see Knives Out. That being said, go see Ford vs. Ferrari. I'm going to try and get a review of that one, if that's still in the theaters. That's a much better film and much less controversial, much less insulting. But this one, if you like the weird, quirky whodunits and the Agatha Christie's and the murder mysteries, the comedies like that, this is not Clue for today's generation. No. This is more of an Agatha Christie. This is more of one of those sort of things. And the way that this is marketed as this all-star cast whodunit, it's like a Clue. It's not Clue. It is never going to be Clue. It is not that style of comedy. It is more of a modern sort of darker humor style of comedy. It is funny in some of the character interactions, but this is still supposed to be kind of a suspenseful it's a bit of a mishmash, but I was enjoying it. I was along for the ride because it is uncomfortable, and it is supposed to make you feel a little uncomfortable in places, I think. The acting decisions, the low, weird camera angles. This is filled with weird camera angles and weird people and weird stuff that they're doing, much like Last Jedi. Much like the weird comedy that's out of place in Last Jedi. Rian Johnson was making a comedy. He just didn't tell anybody on Last Jedi, and that's where that one failed so bad, not to mention the yelling at the fans on Twitter, etc., etc. I hate that I have to give this one a positive review. I really, really do, because I was entertained by it. Alright, now we're getting to spoilers. We'll get into some of the spoilers here. I'm not gonna, give away the entire plot of the movie, but here's a few spoilers, so if you don't want to know anything about it, tune out now. If you don't care and are curious, it is a whodunit. You've got the old author who's he's like a Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin sort of author. He's got the chair of knives instead of swords, and he's one of those. And his annoying, worthless, bitchy, irritating family are all living off of him for free. Meanwhile, he has this nurse that his friend, his confidant. We don't know if they're banging or not. They imply a little bit, but maybe not. And he dies. He does end up dying. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly every detail of who done it, because I don't want to give it all away, but they kind of wrap up, what happens about halfway through this movie. The interesting part is how it kind of progresses into, okay, well, now what are we going to do about that? How do we keep this part secret? How do we not do this? Daniel Craig is really, really good in this. I enjoy everybody in this. I enjoy hating all of these characters because that's the point of it. Not any of these people are likable except for the nurse and Daniel Craig, and that's kind of what you're supposed to go. And Daniel Craig, you don't even know if you're supposed to like. You're like, who the crap's this asshole? Everybody else are horrible, bitchy. Now I gotta address the whole. They take shots at oh, you're just an alt-right, blah blah blah, old white dude. They do that, but they paint both sides of these people who, the people who you get online with, and you don't want to talk about politics, but they gotta throw it in there. They take shots at people who do that on both sides, in my opinion, because they portray both sides of these people as equally annoying as the other side. But then again, I'm a little more tolerant of a little more left-leaning things and a little bit more liberal than a lot of my viewers. So without getting into a whole lot of politics, I found every character who mentions that in this movie to be doing so to make them out to be less likable, right? They're doing that so you kind of say, oh my god, screw all of these people. And that's the point. Even the people on the left were not portrayed as the good, decent people so much. Not really anyway. Because pretty much everybody in this movie is unlikable, like I said, except Christopher Plummer, the nurse, and Daniel Craig. I forgot to mention Christopher Plummer. Oh yeah, where is it? Boom. So, here's the cast here. You've got Chris Evans, you've got a whole bunch of other people. It is a lot of people on screen, but I don't think they really misuse anyone. It's an interesting little film, and I like seeing something like this in the day and age of everything being a superhero movie. That might be another reason why I enjoyed this more than I'd like to. Than I really like to. But then again, this is more my style of a comedy, I suppose. I don't know. I feel bad for giving this one a positive review. I really, really do. All this does is show that, yeah, Rian Johnson can make films. And that's part of why I wanted to see this. Can he make a film? Can he make something that is focused from point A to point B? I read the credits and I'm like, oh my god, he wrote this too? These decisions make sense. Things are set up and brought back later. It's gotta be Star Wars that he just can't do. I mean, and Star Wars... Because Star Wars The Last Jedi was such a mess. I don't know if I can even blame him on that one. I mean, you gotta go back up to KK. Last night I tweeted out, somebody's head is going to roll after I just saw this film, right? And that's what I meant. I wanted to think this over. I wanted to kind of think this over. The whole Last Jedi mess had to have been Kathleen Kennedy. She had to have just made the worst decision. Like I said, you hired a comedy writer, a comedy director to come in and do your science fiction. Which, if you're a Marvel movie, yeah, that could work. Star Wars, no, you can't have the Yamama jokes. You can't have that weird, awkward comedy. And that's another thing. This has the Rian Johnson stink all over it. He's got signature low camera angles, etc., etc. That's what they did in Last Jedi as well. The weird camera angles, the uncomfortable choices, the humor just to subvert your expectations, right? This has some of that. But it makes sense in this context. It does not make sense in Star Wars. Nothing he did in Star Wars really makes sense except put a CGI Porg to get rid of a puffin and sell me a toy. That I can appreciate. That I can be supportive of. He needs to stick to comedy and just stay off of Star Wars, really, because once you give him something in his element, it's not that bad. And, I enjoyed it. Somebody asked me, is it like Gary said, where it's a big bait and switch with the all-star cast? No, well, the main character is not who you think the main character is. They do focus a lot more on the nurse than pretty much anybody else in the cast. That being said, everybody does have screen time. Everybody is in the film. Everybody is there for a reason. There's not a lot of wasted stuff. There's a lot of characters on screen. I'll give it that. It all made sense though. So God, I hate giving this one about an 8 out of 10. Because I gotta do an 8 out of 10 because it dragged a little in places. Probably a lot like my review. But I'm not gonna edit this one down. I'm just gonna give you guys the way my brain is processing this. I didn't want to write it down. I just wanted to kind of go through it. 8 out of 10. Keep Ryan away from Star Wars, though. Oh my God. And I probably would recommend this one if he hadn't gone on Twitter and called us all a bunch of man babies for disliking The Last Jedi. Because like I said, movies are not mandatory. Check out my merch. We don't have to go see episode 9. You don't have to go see this one either. I just was curious and I do this for YouTube. So tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. I am Mecha Random 42. Happy Thanksgiving. I will see you guys later. Bye. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye.